In this living word, we're going to do a lot. It may sound like a lot of wordplay, but of course it's not. There are some words in this list that need described and defined for people, because so many people are lost on understanding what these specific words mean. Not all of them, but some of them, that it's important to clarify what meanings really are and how letters form words, not just etymology. That's like saying you can round up. Etymology is like rounding up definitions. What I do is what symbols and space mean, not just what old languages interpreted things as, what things mean. It's sort of a long list, so let's just jump right into it. We'll start right off with the word deuce, as in two. D-E-U-C-E. Directing or dia, expression, unit, constant to itself, expressing. So if you are the director, expressing a unit, constant to itself, other than you, as an expression, it would be something other than you. It would be deuce. It would be not be something that you're doing, and not be something that is being done. It would just be deuce, as in besides you, as an expressed unit, constant to itself, expressing. So it's dia, so to or from you, expressing, unit, constant to itself, expressing. Does that make sense now? Why deuce is spelled that way? As a little additive to the word deuce, a lot of dialects refer to God as Deus, or Deo, Domine Deus, all these kind of things. And then some of those same dialects consider the devil, or Satan, as Deus, which means something separate, something other than, the two that isn't supposed to be when all is one. So when I go into words like divine, you'll understand. In fact, that's coming up very soon. Now when we say Dieu in French, it's di, dia, expressing a unit centered on. So we have another thing that's outside yourself, dia, to and from, expressing a unit of another center, Dieu. Do you see how that works? Now I'm going to have a couple words that may not be as easy for people to accept because they've had so many other people define them for them, but I have to, because this is what they mean. Before I go into the word divine, we'll have to understand the word divide. D is 4, the fourth letter. N is 14, when 4 is intense. Okay, now really take that into consideration. 4 is in once, D. 14 is intense. It's what's happening intense, not just to one's self. So when you're talking about something on its own self, divide is dia, identified vitality, identifying a to and from expression, and it's from itself, so it's dividing. Now when you say divine, intense, because the only letter that changes is the N instead of a D. So do we all seem separate? Sure, we seem separate. But what does divine mean? It means we're divided, intense, as one thing. It's literally the word dive in, with the E on the end instead of in the middle. Instead of dive space in, we're divine. And why is that? Dia, to and from, identified, vital, identifying the notion of expression. All things that are being expressed in word, because God in a loose form is the word, and we're all divine. We're all here to define ourselves. But little do we know that we've been defined, we've been pulled into being from a divine place into a world that seems divided. Now, like I said at the beginning, this sounds like a lot of wordplay. But if you do understand that D is the fourth letter and N is the 14th letter, that means that D is in once concerning the object that you're talking about dividing. And N is intense, which is 14, which is actively dia, coming to and from intense. Do you see how that actually makes more sense? We all seem divided, but there's only one notion going on here. There's only one universe. It's not separate universes. When you die, you go into the same universe, but in a completely different spectrum, a completely different lifetime, a completely different energy field. There are infinite energy fields. So yes, you have individual lifetimes that you live through in increments, but each one of those increments is still divine. People living in a cosmic space, something in an imaginary realm, Anything you can pull forth from any of those energy fields and present in this world is divine. And after this lifetime, whatever energy fields and worlds you can manifest yourself into through your hard work and spiritual effort and conscious growth, then that will be divine too. There's not a separate group of divinity. Divine means all things are one. Daya, identified. Vital, identified, notion, expressing. That's what divine means. Nothing is separate. It just seems that way. And as with every word, you could go more and more into it if you understand the different levels that I talk about when I say there's 7 ways to define something. Of course, there's more because you can make up your own. But let's just look at it one more time and say DIV, Daya, identified vitality. Okay. And then INE instead of ONE. So if that Daya identified vitality identifies notion of expression, if you just said INE, the identified notion of expression, oh, now we have DIV, the Daya or the directed identified vitality, as ein, as in one identified notion of expression. That's literally what divine means. If you don't see it, that's not on me. Now for an even more controversial word, dominion. DOMINION. Now we have NION, like the word noun, NOUN, but it's not that way. It's spelled NION. Why is that? To direct, Daya, ongoing manifested identity notion, identified ongoing notion. You have dominion over a piece of paper. You have dominion over your arm. And guess what? We have dominion over animals. True. God, the true creator, gave us dominion over animals because we happen to have a mental ability to manipulate our physical environment and our physical body apparatus using that mental intelligence to create things like weapons and tools and all kinds of items to defend ourselves or to make life more capable of living in the environment. Great. Other animals can't do that. So that's what dominion over animals means. It means to do unto the minions what you want or what you are able to come up with. Now, have we done a lot of foul stuff by coming up with weird things to do to other living beings? Hell yes, we have. It doesn't mean God gave us animals to eat. It meant that God gave us animals to share the world with, but that he gave us, or the great creator gave us, the mental faculty and the ability to manipulate the environment so that we could be more in possession of the control or the direction it goes in. So yes, we're not just going to let animals eat the world up. Of course not. If we didn't breed them into existence at such a high rate, there wouldn't be so many animals. If we didn't manipulate them from being in their natural environment, there wouldn't be so many problems. Obviously. So I'll just get right to the word dominion now. Daya, ongoing, manifested identity. So it's almost like do my. Notion, identified, ongoing notion. See what I'm saying? We have the capability of manipulating or ordering or doing what we want to other animals. Now, when you have a heart and a consciousness, you realize that other living things shouldn't be manipulated in certain ways. Wow, that shouldn't be that hard to fathom. But for some people it is. Because they have developed a likeness for the taste of flesh. Or they've developed a likeness to wear a piece of skin, or to use animals to make some kind of treat that they like the taste of. Have no regard for the life that it involves. That's where we're gone wrong. Dominion over animals means we can do more than them in mental, physical, combined capability. Do my nion. Do my nion. Do my notion, identified, ongoing notion. That's what it means. It means to direct or Daya, ongoing manifested identity, a notion, identified, ongoing notion. It means we can do things that other animals can't. It doesn't mean that we have to do what we're doing to them. Now, that's all dominion means. It doesn't mean to eat them. That's a mistake that so many people have made over such a long period of time that it's going to take a lot of effort to repair because people like it, whether it's wrong or not, which it is. What we're doing to other living things is wrong. If you can find a way that that isn't true, please share it. And don't have the answer be, because I like it. That just shows how much you don't care. So, on to the next word. Coming off of the word dominion, let's go right into two words that tie together very, very much. And let's not say they all do, because if you were farming fruits and vegetables, you're not doing as much. Farm and harm. F-A-R-M. Form, force, or familiar, activating a reference, manifesting. So if you want to farm something, that something is a form or a familiar or a force. Because I guess you could say I'm farming energy. That's where force would come into. But let's just say form or familiar. Activating, and then R is a reference or the activated here. M, manifesting or activated concept. So if you want to form, activate, reference, manifestation, you would have a farm to make those things. Now the word harm, if you're farming animals that are living beings, they're definitely going to have some harm involved. If you're farming vegetables and plants, there may be some other things happening in order for you to keep those plants and vegetables secure, which makes sense. But if you're growing vegetables and plants to feed the animals, which is a secondary being in the middle there, and defending the plants, you're harming way more. There's always going to be a level of harm until we start doing it on a personal level, on a very individual level, where each person grows their own food supply. And, hey, guess what? They could grow a little extra and share it with other people. So now look at the word harm. Here, activated, reference, or active here, manifestation. So the way something is here as a reference, that's har. Now if you put an M on the end, you're manifesting something. So you're just doing anything to something could be considered harm, depending on who it's being done to. Like when someone says, that's not harming anything, a person different than you may think, well, to me it does. It bothers me, and that's a form of harm. Now we're talking about physical harm being done. If you're not going and tampering with or beating on or purposely assaulting something or killing it or raping it or pillaging it, doing something wrong to it, then you're not doing harm physically. People need to get over this stuff about getting their emotions hurt. Yes, work through them, I understand. But when someone tells you something that is true and that bothers you, the person telling you the truth is not at fault for doing anything but bringing truth to you, to your awareness, so that you can work through all the stuff that may come with it. Because the truth is not meant to be taken lightly. It's meant to be taken sincerely. So try to understand that this is for your own good. Understanding what things mean in the world will help you so much more than chasing after what other people told you to do because you thought you understood, or you had a good grasp of the process in which they do things. There's a way that nature does things, and there's a way that words express that, and that's what I'm teaching. So let's do less harm and help each other become educated. Since this episode has covered things like dominion, which has a lot to do with our idea of what God gave us over animals, and the word farm is involved, I'll finish off this episode with things that happen on farms and have to do with animals. And I've been trying to find a good way to throw this word into one of these categories, which is onomatopoeia. And if you know what that is, it's basically a word that explains a sound being made, like boom. Although it may not sound like the word boom, the way we spell it, it sounds similar to that. But on farms, you have sheep that go baa, B-A-A. You have cats that go meow. You have dogs that go woof. You have cows that go moo, chickens that go cluck and buck. And then you have all kinds of noises, cock-a-doodle-doo. Those are onomatopoeias. So when you break down the word, showing that letters form words, not just etymology, we have an ongoing notion, ongoing manifested active. Plus, this is all one word together. So we have ongoing notion, ongoing manifested active, plus ongoing potential, ongoing expression, identifying action. So if you've seen the vowel video I've done, you'll realize that vowels have a lot of meaning. And pia at the end of onomatopoeia literally has P-O-E-I-A. So if that potential ongoing expresses an identified action, it's literally how, when you break down that word and understand what letters mean, onomatopoeia means whatever this ongoing notion, ongoing manifested active thing is, plus its potential ongoing expresses identified action. So onomatopoeia is a word explaining how something sounds. Do you see that? I hope so, because I've wanted to include this in one of these lists, and this fit perfectly since it's about dominion and farms, and those have to do with animals, and animals make the most of them. That's where most of the onomatopoeias come from. Other than that are crash, bang, kerplunk, thwack. Those are all onomatopoeias. So I'll finish off with produce and product, because I want to show you how the E and the T being changed makes such a big difference. But if you understand letters, you'll understand us. So let's finish it up. We already included what happens on farms when we talk about animals. So how about when we grow fruits, vegetables, plants, grains, nuts, seeds, those kind of things? If we were producing a product that was produce, that would be great. But when we're producing a being as a product, that's not so great. Especially if you understand they're living in a different way than plants. Now let's go into the word produce and then product. Potential or placement, reference ongoing, to and from, a unit, constant to itself, expressing. When you produce something, it's coming from a potential reference ongoing, dia, that unit, constant to itself, expressing. That's what you produce. That's what something can produce. When that expression has come to anybody's attention, it has now become a potential reference ongoing, to and from a unit constant to itself, plus it's something that is a product. It's a plus symbol. It's not just an E, an expression where things are being expressed. Produc. Up to that point is the same word until you change that last letter. Nothing to do with the etymologies. It has to do with what letters are coming in those sequences of order. They do have sound vibrations. They do have shapes. But they also have letter meanings. If you understand what they mean, now you can put it all together. Produce, potential replacement reference, ongoing, dia, that unit, constant to itself, expressing. Product, potential replacement, reference, ongoing, dia, that unit, constant to itself, plus product. Do you see? I know there were some words in this list that may be controversial, but that's because people get way too caught up in what they're doing about those subjects. People that get mad about the word dominion and its definition are ones who want to defend what they do to other living beings, to other living animals and creatures we share and roam the world with. Now, if you think about what has been put in place on this planet, called a plant, you plant it, that's what we're supposed to thrive off of. It's so obvious, the words direct us to it. In the English language, which happens to be the most symmetric and easy to understand, is the one that we can use to make sense of this to everybody. So therefore, let's do that. Because we care. And because we give a damn. Because let me tell you, I give a damn about you. And more than that, I love you unconditionally. No matter how long it takes, I'm going to keep trying. Because there's nothing left to do when you love it all. So until next time, peace and God bless.